students, welcome to Science 1 class. Today we are going to learn about solution and its types. Before we are stepping into this, let's recollect what is homogeneous and heterogeneous mixture. First we see homogeneous mixture. A mixture which the components cannot be seen separately is called a homogeneous mixture. Next, a mixture in which the components can be seen separately is called a heterogeneous mixture. Now, we move on to the topic solution. First, we learn some terms related to the components of a solution. We usually divide components into two groups, solute and solvent. The component that is present in larger quantity is generally called solvent and the minor quantity is called solute. We keep it in simple words, solvent the substance doing the dissolving, solute the substance being dissolved. So we can say that the solute dissolve in the solvent to form a solution. Let's understand with an example. Sea water contains salt, but we cannot see it. Salt has dissolved in it, so sea water is a solution. In sea water, water is the solvent, and all the metal salts and gases dissolved in it are solid. Remember, a solution will always have only one solvent but can have more than one solute dissolved in it. From this, we understood solution is a homogeneous mixture of two or more components. Now, let's move on to another example. Salt solution. If we add salt in water, we get salt solution. Salt is a solute, water is a solvent. Now we'll see types of solution. We have sand in water, we have aqueous copper sulfate solution and milk. These are the different kinds of solution and we filter them now. So, first we filter sand dissolving water. You see that clear water is collected in a beaker and sand left on the filter paper. Next, we filter aqueous copper sulfate solution. On filtering, the entire copper sulfate solution is obtained in the flask. There is no filtrant or residue on the filter paper. Now, we filter milk. Again, the entire milk is collected in the flask and there is no residue left on the filter paper. So there are three different kinds of solutions. One of these is a suspension. The properties of suspension are that it is heterogeneous. It is the components of suspension. They can be separated by filtration and it is not stable. It means if we leave the solution undisturbed for some time, the insoluble solid settles at the bottom. So, which out of the three? Sand dissolving water, aqueous copper sulfate solution and milk. Which out of the three do you think is a suspension? Yes, sand dissolving water is a suspension because we see that it is a heterogeneous. Its composition is not same throughout, not stable. That is, if we leave the solution for some time, the insoluble solid settled at the bottom. We can easily separate the sand by using a filter paper. So, this sand dissolving water is a suspension. It satisfies all the three properties. Now, let's look at another type of solution, that is aqueous copper sulfate solution. which is a true solution. Now, what are the properties of true solution? A true solution is always homogeneous. So, when we look at aqueous copper sulfate solution, we see that it is same throughout since it is uniform in composition throughout. So, it is homogeneous. It is also clear and transparent. As we saw in case of aqueous copper sulfate solution, the components of true solution cannot be separated by filtration. When we filter aqueous copper sulfate solution, there was no residue on the filter paper. Also, it is stable. When we say stable, it means if we leave aqueous copper sulfate solution undisturbed for a very long time, we do not see any insoluble solid settling at the bottom. So, aqueous copper sulfate solution is a true solution. Now, what kind of solution do you think milk? Milk, it looks homogeneous because as we look at it looks the same throughout. It has the uniform composition, but if you take some of this milk and observe under a microscope, you will see that it has varying composition throughout. It has different particles like fats, protein, and so on. When we observe this milk under a microscope, we observe the different particles in different proportions of milk. So, even though it looks homogeneous, it is actually a heterogeneous mixture. Such a mixture which looks homogeneous but it actually heterogeneous mixture, the components of which cannot be separated by filtration. There was no residue when we filtered milk, and again it is stable. If we leave it undisturbed for some time, we do not see any insoluble components settling down. Such solution is known as colloidal solution. So, milk in this case is a colloidal solution. Okay students, that's all for today's class. Hope this video helped you to learn about types of solution. Thank you students. Have a good day.